have the bollocks.
Do you really want to go toe-to-toe with me on that?
You've completely, like, what are we doing here? Levy isn't going anywhere.
It's all down to timing, isn't it?
Yes, good evening. Welcome back to the Spurs 5. Spurs are in the top 4. End the season. We've qualified for the Champions League. Stel is back and in a new house. He's in a new house. Hopefully his internet will be much better. Lubo's here, of course. Sean is here. Johnny is here. I am here. And so are our sponsors. Please, if you would like quality replica shirts, get over to okjersey.com. either on their website or scan the QR code, type in FHTV. That's a complete lie. Type in the discount code using, I've got the wrong one. Apologies, guys. How unprofessional of me. There you go. Type in 5, F-I-V-E, and you will get an 8% discount on all the jerseys. And they are good quality. I've got a few of them here myself. Everybody well? Is everybody okay?
All good. Thank you. All good.
Good.
After 5 years of YouTube, I finally have fiber optic internet, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be in the real world. It's a joy. It really
Welcome
is a joy.
to 2025. Welcome. It's nice to have you, Stel. And guys, today
300?
we will be. Huh?
300.
Good. Today, guys, 4 subjects for you. West Ham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3. The midfield battle. I want to talk about the midfield battle at Tottenham Hotspur. Johnny's favourite subject and Lubo's, because they've been wrong about this for so many years. I'm going to lay into both of them. The Spurs youth and how good they are not. And also Villarreal at home tomorrow night in the Champions League. Match day one. Who wants to kick us off, guys? It was a good win. We beat West Ham 3-0. We went second for a little bit. We're now third. All is going well. Who would like to start for West Ham versus Spurs?
I'll go. Good start. I mean, first 15 was a little bit dodgy, but you could see from the team that he picked, he wanted Leeds in midfield. Surprisingly, played Tell, but thinking about that, Solanke's injured and Tell's not in the squad for Tuesday. He was saving Richie. Obviously, he didn't want any injuries with Richie. On Saturday. And it all sort of went to plan, didn't it, pretty much? You know, should have actually really could have been 5-0 because Romero's goal should never have been disallowed. And then the referee standing, watching Mickey get slapped to the ground and didn't give a penalty. So if those two decisions had gone the right way, we probably would have won that 5-0. And we'd be sitting second. But there you go. We're third for the minute. It's a good start. We're all happy. 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. You know, if you'd have 3 weeks ago, if you'd have said first 4 games, 9 points, I think we'd have all taken it, wouldn't we? And a top 3 spot. So structured, organised, looking good. And thank God so far, no injuries.
There you go. Let's end the show. Nice and positive. Let's end it on that. Anybody else? Anyone got any different takes to that?
Well,
all the same. Of course, Stel has. I haven't heard from Stel for 2 days since we won the game, so you could tell we won. Go on, Stel. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, it's called moving house. The last thing I'm going to do is go into our WhatsApp group, which is interesting. Yeah, look. Positives and negatives. Positives, we won 3 goals, clean sheet. We're in the top 4. Again, it's a game we won that we deserved to win. And we looked in control of the whole game. I think once or twice maybe West Ham semi-troubled us, but that was it. Otherwise, it was a solid performance and at a ground where we normally struggle or we come unstuck. So it's good to go to West Ham away and, you know, put them to bed. And the biggest positive was the away fans for 10 minutes very loudly singing West Ham get battered everywhere they go. You could hear it for 10 minutes. It was a joy to listen to. So big up to the away fans. Not negatives, but just areas to think about. I'm still not convinced about Matthias Tell. I'm not having it. I just don't understand why he's at Spurs. Another positive. I thought Bergvall's goal, he made that look easy. That was a cracking header. That was the ball from Romero was excellent. But that finish from Bergvall was on the money. Leaning back, got enough power on it, and he wanted to do that. Bergvall wanted to do that. That wasn't just let me get it on target. He knew what he was doing. So big respect to Bergvall for the goal. Yeah, so Matthias Tell, I'm not having it. Again, I'm just caution to the wind. West Ham aren't a good team. A bit like Burnley, we're beating the team we're supposed to beat. Right, they're having a crap season so far, West Ham. So, I don't want to get too carried away with it. And the other area of caution, nothing to do with Tottenham. VAR is just a disgrace now. It really is an abomination. What is the fucking point of it? A clear goal, legit goal, and some clown up in Stockley Park says foul. Everyone in the studio said no. Everyone in TalkSport said no. Everyone watching it said no. Every rival fan said no. Everyone said no to that goal being disallowed. But the one person that said, yes, we're going to disallow it, is the guy in Stockley Park. It just pisses me off, guys. So otherwise, yeah, deserved 3 points. Keep it coming.
They say they can't interfere still. They can't interfere with the decision. Well, what's the point of actually having VAR? If they're trying to allow the referee to have the say, and they're not going to interfere, there's no point in them being there. The problem was with that incident, the referee was focused on one incident and one incident only, is the defender hitting the ground and then thinking, well, that's a foul. But he didn't look at the context, and it was obvious the context of the foul was nothing to do with Mickey van der Ven. It was Mickey van der Ven being fouled that caused the incident in the first place. So it was self-inflicted. But nothing's changing. We've seen so many incidents already. We're 4 games in, and there's already been tons and tons of it.
Every week.
Every week, something. The good thing is, though, is how we set up for set pieces. How we set up for set pieces, corners. I mean, we look like we have some cohesion. It looks like we're set up to take advantage of weakness. And as Ian said, we started the first 15 minutes poorly. Paqueta had a very good chance to put them one up, didn't take it. But after that, it was our game. As you said, Bergvall's header was absolutely sweet. Romero's through ball. I mean, those people that said that he should be going. Really, honestly, I think he said it all today. I think he made a few statements. I don't know if you've got them, Sava, if you've got some of the statements he made today about that he never said he wanted to leave the club, how much he loves the club, and how structured it is now. He likes the manager. He likes the tactics. I suppose it's easy to say now because, they've only conceded 1 goal. 1 goal in 4 games. Quite incredible, really. 3 clean sheets when we only managed 6 last season. But there was so many positives. Unfortunately, the negative was Matthias Tell. But I think, when you look at the options that he had, Thomas Frank, with them coming back from South America, and we're going to have this again in October and again in November, I believe. So we're going to have to get used to it. But the problem is, if this is what's going to happen, it's all very well when you're playing West Ham, but can we really afford to be having Matthias Tell? I don't know. Who do we play after the next international break? Do you know? I'm not quite sure.
But, 14th, Villa at home.
Yeah. I mean,
but Johnny, surely Richarlison would have relished that game against West Ham.
He did, but he probably could. But the problem is, when you've come off of a long flight and you get back on Thursday and you've got 1 day's training, and you've got Villarreal, He obviously thought that he could win the game.
Didn't he get back Friday, Johnny? I heard that he got back Friday.
Surely Kolo Muani starts against Villarreal, though.
I don't know. He's not.
I don't think he's fit.
He's not match fit.
He was on the bench, though.
Yeah, but you know,
Starting and being on a bench. Sorry, just to interject quickly. This is why I hate leaving it until the last day to buy players. This is why I hate doing it. You don't get them fit. You don't get them training. Anyway, side note.
It was opportunity, though, that one, Sava, because let's be honest, he was going to Juventus. It all fell through and we pounced. Otherwise, this one wouldn't even been in the conversation. But I hear your point.
I agree. Sean?
Yeah, it's a great game. I felt we were a little bit sort of sluggish in the first half. Don't think we created too much. I can hear myself in an echo. I don't know what's going on there. I think the first half. I think we were sort of more focused on, I guess, what the workload has been on the training ground for most of the sort of pre-season and the summer, which has been getting ourselves defensively stable. And I think that the one word that comes to mind now, I guess, is like almost reliability. It's nice to know that you've got a reliable back line that isn't going to let you down. But with that, I think has come some sort of creative. There's a little bit of creative absence at times in that first half. It took for the first goal that should have counted. Obviously, didn't. Stell's talked about that. But as soon as the second half started, and we got that first goal, which was just defensive ridiculousness from that corner kick from West Ham United. I don't know what sort of like zonal planning that was. It wasn't zonal because they had only the front half of the goal covered. It wasn't in any way, shape, or form man-to-man marking. So I don't know what it was, but it obviously left open a massive gap for us. And I hope that it was Xavi's bright eye that saw that sort of positional layout and took advantage of it. Pape Sarr barely had to jump to get a free header. The closest three men to him were Tottenham players, and then once that went in, it was all easy from then on. Right, the red card came straight afterwards. I have to say, I think the referee got his red card out like before the time it takes to process what happened, and so I feel like at half time he was told that he'd made a massive mistake with the goal that was disallowed, and I think he tried to even it up a little bit. But either way, it was definitely a red card. And then from then on, it was Romero's brilliance. I mean, he's the best. I've said it for ages and ages and ages. He is the best passing centre back in the league. And people that criticise the idea of playing Polinia because you don't have that creative spark, like with him being so solid at the back defensively, you are giving up a little bit of that creative spark that you don't necessarily need to do in certain games. But I think when you have people like Romero who have the passing ability of a midfielder behind him on one side, you've got Mickey van der Ven on the other side that can run the ball out to break the line, and you have Pedro Porro. Those three are options that Polinia can use alongside Sarr or Bergvall in that scenario. So his inclusion, even if he isn't the best passing midfielder, is overcompensated for by the on-the-ball skills of the people around him, So, and then we ended up getting the third goal, and it should have been 4 or 5 on the day. Super breezy second half. But I do think that, for me, I feel like if you're going to look for a criticism outside of the individual performance of, Matisse Tell wasn't great on the day. I didn't think Jed Spence was fantastic on the day. I didn't think Pedro Porro was great on the day. But if you're looking for just an overarching kind of tactical concern, not that it's a real concern, but just something to call out, I do think that we are not as creative yet in the front end of the pitch as we would like to be as we go forward. But I think that's just the consequence of the amount of time on the training ground that's being spent making us more reliable at the back, which is a high sacrifice.
Sean, do you remember a couple of weeks ago when we signed Simmons, and I gave you my analysis of him, and I said the only concern I've got, and it's not his fault, is the range of killer passes he plays. Where's the runners to get onto the end of it? There was multiple times against West Ham, I saw Simmons on the ball look up, nothing was moving for him.
Yeah,
and that was my one concern. A player like him needs runners.
Yeah, I think if he's going to play off the left,
there was no runners on the pitch.
If he's going to play off the left, I don't think he'll end up on the left. I think he's there for the time being because we've got that kind of gap to fill, and because we're going to come to this, the midfield conundrum of having too many players that are all chomping at the bit for only a couple of spots. Then, if he's going to play off the left and get the ball and want to drive infield, you're going to need someone to overlap with consummate ease and confidence. And when they get the ball as that outlet down the left-hand channel, they're going to have a lot more concrete output. And as much as I think that Jed Spence is the best one-on-one defensive fullback in the Premier League at the moment, I really think that Destiny Udogie will probably forge in certain games a better relationship with Xavi than Jed Spence will, just because Destiny Udogie will be able to play that role with a little bit more ease than and probably more success than Jed Spence can in certain games, not in others. Like tomorrow night, I think we're going to talk about it obviously, but I think that tomorrow night at home against Villarreal is a team where I think you can probably put Destiny Udogie on the left, and you might even want to put Jed Spence on the right, because if they're going to have Pepe and Buchanan as their outlets, then you can probably get away with having Jed Spence on the right. But yeah, I do think that you're right still with regards to Xavi Simons and having those outlets. He was cutting in off the left so much, and his main outlet was Kudus. So he was cutting out in the midfield because there was no one there to do 1-2s with.
Sure. There was one moment in the first half where he picked up the ball. I think his back was to goal, but he's received it at an angle, edge of the box, and his first touch was he played it through into the space out wide for the inverted winger to come in. There was nobody there, and the ball just went into empty space. But in his head, he's used to that pass in the teams he's played in with runners coming in.
100%.
So he's going to have to learn as well that that's not always going to be there, and he can't just play the ball without looking.
Well, obviously blind passes obviously can lead to transition, right? And tomorrow night, you don't want to get transitioned on by Villarreal. Right? They'll be very compact, they'll be very defensive, but you don't want to get transitioned on because they have unbelievable pace in Buchanan and Pepe, for example, and their 10 is very creative. So yeah, I agree with you. I just think that you could probably make the argument that Destiny Udogie would be there to cover that gap, to fill that spot, and to find that pass, or to receive that pass, more so than Jed Spence is, who's better as a defensive one-on-one fullback.
The thing is with Jed Spence, right? Jed Spence, we all forget, is a right back, not a left back, right? He's a square peg in a round hole, and he's doing the job, which limits him. Perfect for defending, not a problem. But what you're cutting out is ability when he's going forward to cut onto the right foot. That he wants to cross the ball. So we're losing 50% of his game, I believe, with the position he's playing in. But listen, right from the off, Thomas Frank has said the first priority above everything else is to get the defence right, because that's the glaring problem. And he said phase 1 I'm very happy with, phase 2 is good, and phase 3 is nowhere near good enough. And I think that still stands as Sean's just said before. It's the final third where it all sort of falls apart. But we really we haven't seen Mawani. Simons has only just started to play. We haven't seen Richie sort of playing fit with those two players. And we've still got Kulu to come back. I mean, look, I think it's a work in progress. It'll be interesting to see what comes come January. But I think if we can remain competitive between now and January and keep ourselves up there, and we continue as we are at the moment defensively and with our midfield, I think we might be able to get through the period with the weaker striking options that we have at the moment. I still think Colin Mawani, come maybe mid-end October, will be the one for me that should be starting as centre forward.
Do you know what, Johnny? Before I ask my next question, I'll just insert here before everyone gets frustrated with me. This is why when everyone says to me I'm negative about the window, I'm not. But this was my worry all along. My worry all along was if you don't buy what you need, it's square pegs, round holes. And we're talking about we should be all right to get to January. Like Steph just said now.
We're all right now. We played West Ham, barring. Granted, they were a terrible, terrible team, and you couldn't get away with playing Matthias Tell against a decent team.
No, but I'm talking about the left wing. I'm talking about the left wing. That's why I will never ever say that window was great, because not buying a left winger, I think for me it means every game you're playing a square peg in a round hole. Whatever we do, for me, I want to see Xavi Simons come into the team and be a 10. I want to see him be in there and create. But at the moment, we're going to have to see a lot of games, I feel, where he floats out to the left because Spurs didn't buy what they needed to buy. And I think we're going to see, I said this on my show last night, I think we're going to see a mixture of Mawani playing sometimes on the left, Johnson sometimes on the left, Tell sometimes on the left, Odegaard sometimes on the left, Simon. And for me, I just think it's always going to be a little bit, sorry, let me change that word. I think it's going to be a lot imbalanced. And Simons, you could see, I think Stell's right, you could see every time Xavi Simons got that ball, his first instinct, isn't it, is to, can I cut into the middle? Can I cut into the middle and create? He's a left winger he's been pushed out there, but he's not a natural left winger, if you will. He wants to come inside. He wants to link up with players. And for me, I think by him being on the left, what we lose as well is any potential link up between him and Kudus on that, from him getting the ball centrally to spraying a ball to Kudus, spraying a ball to a proper left winger. So that's the only reason why I've said I think Spurs will finish 6th this season and not in the top 4 is because we didn't buy a left winger. So that's
you look at
is a huge issue.
Look at Brighton, right? Brighton obviously unlucky against Bournemouth, not unlucky necessarily. Bournemouth were very good, but you just look at the balance that Brighton have in their team, right? And they bring players in, they sell them and everything else. They sell their good players, they sell their midfielders, they sell their centre back, whatever. But they've always got someone else to come in. And at the moment, they've got 2 wingers that have that dual threat of, you don't know, they're as comfortable charging down the right as they are on the left. They've got Mintet on the right, who looks like an absolute baller. And they've got Mitoma on the left, who we all know is an absolute baller. And both of those players are equally capable, equally comfortable going to the outside and cutting on the inside. If you had going back recently for Tottenham, Sonny at his prime in this team with Xavi in the middle, or even like an Ivan Perisic, who had the ability to kind of do those step overs and then drop his shoulder and then go outside or go inside and get past every time or most times. You have such balance then. And then defenders have the kind of the nightmare situation of not knowing whether to allow their fullbacks to go one-on-one against the wingers or to call for help from the 6 or from the inside centre-back that's closest to them. Not having that at the moment, I think you can, obviously, Odegaard probably is capable of doing it, just not to the same standard of what Kudus is. But if you have someone on the left wing, if we go and get a left winger early in January and we can get away with not too many injuries between now and then, if we finish the January window with a left winger that can do similar things to what Kudus can do on the right, and then you have Simons in the 9, Simons in the 10, and then whether we can improve on the 9 or otherwise, you've then got balance in your ability to attack down multiple fronts, and that's just a nightmare for defenders.
Sean, can I
go even further than that, Sean?
Sean, I completely agree with you on the word balance.
Go and get Semenya. Go and get Semenya in January.
That's going to be 80, 90 million. You know that, right? It's going to be 80, 90 million.
Well, apparently we've got owners now that are going to show their ambition, right? So,
all I'm saying is he's just signed a brand new contract. That's going to be a big signing. Can I just say, to your point, Sean, I'll make you completely right. I like balance. And at the moment, the left side, there's no balance on that left-hand side, with Spence being a right-footed left back and not having a proper left winger. But what I noticed massively throughout that game, which will be a problem every time we put Simons out wide, is you naturally do not have that conduit, that locksmith in the middle of the park. So what ends up happening is none of our play goes through the middle. None of it. If you watch, especially in that first half, nothing went through centrally, did it? Everything was Porro trying to clip balls down the line to Kudus, Spence trying to play balls down the line to Simons, because you've got no outlet in the middle of the park. So I feel like we've got to find a solution.
Within Sava.
So I just quickly tell. A lot of people get frustrated with me keep talking about this, but this is why when I had my massive row of Lubo the other day about saying we can't do everything in one window, that left winger for me was absolute criminal not to replace Son. It was absolutely criminal.
We did try, though, didn't we? We tried a lot to get Savio in. That was the intention. I know we ended up wasting our time with it, but that was the intention.
Well, hold on a minute, guys. Hold on a minute.
Sure.
So then the manager, whoever the manager is, it just happens to be Frank, whoever the manager is at Spurs, they've got to look at what they've got, tell Odegaard, Johnson, and say, I've got to pick one and really do my best to develop them until I get what I want. That's what any manager at every club would have to do.
Sure, but that doesn't make them good left wingers that are natural left wingers still.
No, but
this conversation isn't about.
But hold on, Odegaard, Sava. But hold on, Odegaard. Stop. Yeah, but hold on, just hear me out a second. I don't know, to be honest with you. Mateus Tell I know is not. But Odegaard, stop. Give him a run of 5-6 games. Let him bed into the squad and coach him then. And see what happens. But we haven't done that yet. It's only been 4 games. So, the manager needs time. But until we wait till January, we've got about 30-odd games to play. Pick your man and start coaching and see where
that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about for me, the inability to get it done in the summer, I think will hamper us. That's only my opinion. I think you will get away with it in games against West Ham. But I think against better teams, what will happen is what we've talked about all the time. Teams will double up on Kudus like they have done every game so far. Watch everyone double up on Kudus because they know there's nothing out on that left wing. So that's.
But do you want
for me just not quite?
Safa, do you want a player or do you want the player? That's the point here.
This excuse. What do you mean? What's that mean?
It's not an excuse.
What does that mean, Johnny?
Well, what it means is that rather than just go for any player because you need a left back and you can't get the player that you really want, right. we always go through this thing. We should have gone for this player. We should have gone for that player, but we went right down here and ended up with a player much lower than the ambition that we should have had. I mean, when you look at the team that was out there on the pitch on Saturday, the total goals for everyone on that pitch was 26 in a Tottenham shirt. 26 goals, everyone that was on that pitch. I mean, that's shit. I mean, it's like, it's no goal threat.
Yeah, hang on, I want to bring you back to your point. I've had this debate earlier today, so I'm ready for it. I've got my points, right? When you're saying, do you want the player or any player? Is this in relation to Savio's our guy and we're waiting for Savio?
No. I'm not talking just one player because I believe you have to have more than one player. But what I'm saying is if you go for, say, for example, you have 2 or 3 players and none of the 3 are attainable. If they were to bring in a player that you thought was substandard, but he plays on the left, would you have been happy with that?
Okay, so let me spin this argument then. Okay, so if 2 or 3 of the players they wanted weren't available, you said wait for the right player. Why are those players going to be available in the next window?
Well, there might be another player. I'm just saying you can't, you're saying you would have been happy. I'm asking the question, would you have been happier taking the lesser player? Because that's always been the problem, I feel, at Spurs. Instead of going for the high caliber player, we've always gone for the lesser player, the one that was cheaper. That was the one that was always.
Yeah, but that's down to the club, right? Like if again, I'm just hypothetical, guys. Yeah. We're talking Savio. If Savio's your number 1 target, right? At the point that that deal can't be done, where are the other targets you've been speaking to in the background with a similar profile?
Here's an example, though, right? We all, I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of us had consensus that we would have all wanted Ademola Lookman.
Yeah.
I would have taken Grealish, Lookman, Savio.
Thomas Frank said, if the right player's not available, I'd rather wait, which I think is Johnny's point.
Correct.
Right? So
sure.
Ademola Lookman was available for anybody. His agent shopped him round to the entire Premier League. We had a conversation. Atalanta wanted a permanent, apparently, according to reports. Thomas Frank said, no, we could have got that one done on the last day. Now, to me, he's a player that does exactly what I want to see in a left winger. However, he's had a fallout with Gasperini last season. He's had a fallout with Jukic or whatever the guy's name is, the current guy, Julic, whatever his name is. He's been left out of the Atalanta squad every game. He hasn't played. He's their 2nd or 3rd best player behind De Catalia and 1 or 2 others, right? And yet he can't get a game. Is there the chance that if that was all of our 2nd choice behind Savio or 3rd choice, but Thomas Frank is worried about the donut gene, the dickhead gene. He doesn't want a dickhead. I don't know the player. None of us do, I'm assuming. But as much as I rate the player, the person might be a bit of a clown. He's had fallouts with every manager. That was a target that we all thought was appropriate. We could have got him. We decided not to. On that basis, though, isn't Thomas Frank doing what Johnny's point is the player, not a player.
Sure, but okay. So then let's look at it. None of the teams that are going to finish in that top 4 do this. They get a guy. They get a good player. And for me, we would have known Sonny was going, right? One of two things happened. We either knew Sonny was going all summer, right? So you have a succession plan. If not, from the time Sonny went, I believe there was 5 to 6 weeks of the transfer window still available. I'm sorry, a big club moves. A big club finds a replacement for Son. You have a succession plan in place, a list of players ready to go. I don't.
But are you when they're upsetting, mate? Do you want the 9 out of 10 at the bar and you're going to go down the gym and work for it and get her later on when she's available, or do you want to settle for the 6 out of 10 pig that you're going to wake up tomorrow next to and go, what have I done? Now I'm married to her.
No, but this is all hypotheticals. The other clubs don't seem to do this. The other clubs that we're talking about in the Champions League go and get the player.
What, like Man United? Like Man United spend 70 million, 75 million, 80 million and end up with...
What did I say?
Right.
I said the other clubs in the Champions League. Man United aren't in the Champions League. I'm not talking about Man United.
They've been in the Champions League, right? I'm
they're
just
not
saying,
in the Champions League now.
Just spending money doesn't guarantee. We've seen it. Just spending large sums of money doesn't guarantee.
Isn't this what we always do? We always find an excuse as to why we don't get what we need.
What we do is we
trying to explain it or trying to understand the possible rationale as to why we didn't.
Are we being a bit impatient here, guys? We've signed 4 good players in the summer.
Correct.
Don't we need to give Project Frank a year or 2 to get?
This isn't about Frank for me.
Stell's in Greece now. He's got a different mindset.
So I'm
just asking. I'm sorry.
You know, one of your best players for the last decade is leaving. You know,
I just asked the question.
For the last decade is leaving. Yeah, and you're leaving yourself without a recognised proper first team left winger for a
maybe
Champions
Moani
League
was the guy though, Fab. Maybe of all the ones that are available, Moani was the guy. He's just got to get his fitness up, but maybe he's the guy that can play out there.
I agree with
Sava. Really a left winger though, is he? Like I just find it some excuses for me. Sorry, I'm
Sava.
With the Tottenham excuses. We needed a left winger. We all knew it. They didn't bring it in, and I think it's going to cost us.
Sava, I actually agree with you. Right, I agree with you, but at the same time, I said at the start of the year, I'm going to give Frank a year to work with what he's got. And then next summer has got to be the one where we solidify what we finally need. And I did say that. That's why I give him a year, because I don't expect him to do much.
No, but you keep talking about Frank. I've not mentioned Thomas Frank. I'm talking about Tottenham Hotspur as a football club.
Yeah, but Frank's the one that's signing the players. But Frank's the one signing the players. Frank's not the one signing the players. He's not the one out there negotiating. But you know what I mean? At Spurs, we said previous managers are signing the players. This guy isn't. Come on, he has a say. He has a say, right? That's my point. At the end of the day, I will judge Frank next season, because by then he should have either demanded the players he needs, or he would have had time to, with the club, get the ones that he needs in. You're right, though, Sava. We should have done it this summer. I totally agree with you, but we haven't.
No one's disagreeing, are they? Still, I don't think anyone in this.
We all needed left. We all said we need left winger. We all said it.
He's the only. To round it off, right? Look, he's the only first team player that left Tottenham Hotspur this summer, and it's the only position we didn't fill. That's the frustrating thing for me. And still, here's what I said. Right? Here's what I said. If next summer. You can all answer me this, right? Before we move on to the next subject. If next summer, let's use them lot down the road. If Bukayo Saka next year ends up at, I don't know, Liverpool, Real Madrid, right? Do you not think that Arsenal in the very same window go out and snap up a top right winger to replace him?
They didn't find a striker for 3 years, though, Sava, did they?
But they haven't had a striker to replace for years, right? I'm just talking about right now with Berta in. Right, with Luca Berta, not Luca Berta.
But the point we were making was about needing a position filled, and you're now using Arsenal to use the example of they would get it done, but they didn't.
Position filled.
They needed a striker filled. Hang on. They needed a striker.
You're changing my words.
No, it's not the argument that you made now. That you're using Arsenal now for the Saka example, but the entire premise of the argument is you're saying that Tottenham Hotspur have failed because they needed a left winger all summer and they didn't get one. And you're using Arsenal as the example of the bastion of great decisions, but they've needed a striker for 3 years.
Great decision. Berta won't allow that to happen. That's the difference. But they've got a proper guy in now that's got sorted out their summer.
You said Arsenal. You said Arsenal.
Yeah. Guys, I give up. Yeah, you're right. We shouldn't have signed a left winger. There's no one out there good enough.
No one's saying that.
Excuses all the
it's not
time.
excuses. We're all saying we should have signed a left
Why didn't we get Fofana? Why didn't we get Fofana?
I agree. We should have got one in. We should have.
Why didn't we get Fofana, Johnny?
Alex Fofana, we've been talking about for ages, but the fact of the matter is, as Thomas Frank says, he only wants the players he feels will suit
That's
him.
not what I'm asking. I'm asking, why didn't we get Fofana?
Maybe Thomas Frank doesn't rate him like we do.
Hang on. The Ornsteins and the Romanos said that Tottenham approached Lyon on deadline day for Malik Fofana. So clearly he was on the list. Clearly he is a player that Frank has said, yes, I like. And they turned us down because it was too late in the window.
Listen, when you compare this window, we all are in agreement, Sava. We all wanted one, and we all felt that
one more. One more. I'm just going to block you. I don't understand. You know I'm modding the channel. I mean,
listen,
Just time him out, Sava. Time him out.
I'm going to, but if he's going to be a prick, I'm going to bring it up and show the world. There you go.
I'll do it. No,
it's all right. Still, I'll do it.
Right. The point here is everyone's in agreement with you, right? That we needed a left back, right? All of us wanted one, and we all agreed that we should have got one. But the fact of the matter is, Thomas Frank has stated over and over again that he only wants the players that he wants, right? And he's made that very clear. And, you know, I wanted, there's players that I wanted. They didn't come. Lookman, I thought, was a good fit. But there was obviously a reason why he didn't go for him. But
we did. We approached Lookman. We approached Fofana. You've got two players, Johnny, that clearly Frank...
But you agree?
Frank must have said yes if the fact that we've approached both Fofana and Lookman, Frank must have said by your theory, yes.
No, mate, we don't know anything, mate, about what happened in any of those transgressions with negotiations. Like, what's his name? Romero had the biggest mudding of all time this summer. He got more wrong than he got right in everything that he said. He looked like a tier 4 journalist this summer. So we have no idea what happened in the negotiations.
He was approaching.
What we have got is Thomas Frank's words, and what Thomas Frank was, if the right player is not available, I'd rather wait. We have a good enough squad. We are in the market. If we don't find the right player, we'll wait. If we don't get someone in January, and between now and January there's problems on the left wing with the balance, then obviously there's going to be questions, right? But right now, I think that, you know, you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the manager at the moment. I think he said he's happy with his squad. And by the way, when you look at our squad, it is fucking bloated at the moment. There's 3 players that didn't make the squad for Saturday against West Ham, and there's 3 players that are imminent returns. In about a month's time, you're going to have situations where 5 first-team players aren't even going to make the match day squad. So, and we've got too many left wingers as it is. We don't necessarily rate them all, but we've got too many left wingers. So I think we have to, you know, on this one, I hear we all agree that we should have got a left winger that's better than what we have. It didn't happen. Why it didn't happen? Maybe we left it too late in the window. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the injury and the Eze story and the Gibbs-White story and the injury to Maddison, all those things just happened and they had to re-pivot and refocus our priorities in the window. But who knows? But at the end of the day, I would say that January, the priority will be a left winger if they can get one, and also a left-sided centre-back.
You know what's funny? Sean and I were talking about how many left-wing-sided players we had. We had too many. We had Mikey Moore, we had Manor Solomon, we had Son, we had Richarlison. We named all these people, all these players. And now
still have too many. We still have far too many wingers that are not good enough.
Oh, left-sided, I meant. Left-sided.
No, we've got too many left-sided wingers that are not good enough.
Yeah, not good enough. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you know, look, should we have signed someone if we knew Son was going, which we did, obviously? Then yeah, we should have had a plan for it. But just maybe they weren't good enough, or I don't know.
Johnny, don't you think the manager just needs to stick with the front 3 that he can work with and get them working together until we sort this issue out at the next transfer window? Because I think right now on the left side there's too much jiggery pokery he's got to stick with someone and just work with it for a while to see if he can get something out of it. Because changing every week, for me, I don't think is helping.
You rotate. You can't play all these games. I mean, Sava's right in the sense that we're very predictable on that left-hand side. You know, you've got, you know, as Sean was saying, you know, a doggy, you know, going forward is far more of a threat than Jed Spence is. But I don't believe he's as good a defender as him. But going forward on that left,
I mean on the left wing, Johnny, shouldn't we just stick with Odegaard or stick with Johnson, stick with someone?
Who would have thought
wanting
a left winger would have caused so much fucking abuse?
Sava, we know we need a left winger, but until then, this conversation doesn't fix the issue. Right?
Still, this is what we've got. We've got a minimum still between now and the end of December when the transfer window opens. And you would hope that Spurs would have had talks and maybe can make a signing very early in January. We've got a minimum of 22 and a maximum of 24 games in 15 weeks. I'm sure Frank will I'm sure he will duck and dive. Not ideal, but I think he will get the best out of what he's got because he's a top coach.
This is what I'm saying.
And
that's my point.
And you know what? If we are there or thereabouts, top 6, if we're close to the 4th place, at the end of December, he goes in, he makes 1 or 2 major signings. If he goes and gets Semenya, for argument's sake, or Slovenia,
great position. Yeah.
You're thinking, Jesus, we can really go for it in the last 4 or 5 months. So
the problem is, Lubo. Like as far as I hear what Sava's saying regarding leaving, and I completely echo. Although I have to remind people that his point being, of course, sorry, I should have said that first. His point being that leaving things late in the window, it always leaves you with problems.
Absolutely.
And if the Malik Fofana story is true, and the reason why we couldn't get him is because they didn't have time to replace, the other part of that equation is that you're going to have an extra member of your squad that you then can't fit into your games, and so you have to find someone else to move on. In the last day, we struggled to get rid of Manut Solomon. Solomon ended up at Villarreal, and he can play against us tomorrow night, by the way. But on top of that, we haven't got rid of Bissouma. If you did bring in a winger, you'd have to have found a new home for somebody, for either Odegaard, for Tell, for someone else. We only got rid of Brian Hill in the last couple of days as well. Same with the midfield. I know we're going to come onto this in segment 2, but in a world where Xavi Simons does end up in the 10 role in the near term future, in a world where Stell gets his way and we give Odegaard a run of games, and then you move Xavi into the middle, and you see that Polinia is the mainstay in that defensive midfield pivot role, that monster enforcer role, then you've got 5-6 players that are fighting it out for one spot in the midfield. Bissouma, Gray, Bentancur, Sarr, Bergvall, and someone else. And then God knows what you're going to do with Decky when he comes back. Is Decky going to play in the 10? Is he going to play on the right? Well, I don't know what we're going to do with him. Some people are suggesting we move him into the 8. Then you've got another player that's fighting out for 90 minutes with 6 or 7 other people. There are problems to having too much quality or too stable a depth. Like I look at our bench against West Ham, and I think it's the strongest bench that Tottenham have put out in about 8 years or something. I can't remember the last time we had a bench as strong as that. And that, to me, like whilst it's great to have strength in depth, whilst it's great to be able to use those rotation options and all those things, you've still got to keep those players happy. Even though you're playing 2 games a week, if it's only one person that's going to get that spot between Xavi and Polinia in a full fit first team squad, how do you keep Bentancur happy when you've got Pape Sarr pulling up trees and doing things we haven't seen from him before, and the emergence of Lucas Bergvall, who's fast becoming one of the most exciting midfielders in the Premier League at 19 years old? Like, I don't know how you keep them all happy. That's, I guess, what we're doing in the second segment. But I think it's a massive conundrum. It's a headache. It's a good headache, but it's a headache nonetheless.
Well, Johnny, the one unexpected real positive for the first 4 games in the league, we have had 6 different scorers of goals.
Yeah, unbelievable.
For a team with no forward line.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. You know, the fact is, look, as Thomas Frank says, if you don't concede goals, you don't lose games. Yeah. And that, you know, this is a completely different ethos to what we've been suffering for the last 2 years. Anthropologists out there, I'm ready for you. Look, I don't want to go through 22 defeats in a season. I don't want to go through 34 defeats in 18 months. I want to see us defend properly, like we have done. When I see the structure, even before the West Ham game, I don't know if you were in the ground, Ian, way before kickoff or not. I went in about half an hour and I was watching them practice set pieces, defending the set pieces. It's just completely different. It's on another level. The way they're coaching everybody, and we're seeing that. I mean, in 4 games we've conceded 1 deflected goal. That's it. 1 deflected goal. And yeah, you can say we've only played Burnley, West Ham, Man City, and Bournemouth, but that's the facts.
We got the joint best defence in the league with Palace and Arsenal.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is he's constantly said, I'm very happy with phase 1. I'm very happy with phase 2, but phase 2 to 3 leaves a lot to be desired. He can clearly see it. And the fact that he came out straight away and said he got it completely wrong, having looked back during the international break at the videos of the Bournemouth game, he said he got it completely wrong. That's the honesty you want. But while he's finding out his team, and while the team is understanding the tactics, and let me tell you something, we've only just got started with the tactics, because by the time, I reckon, past Christmas, you'll start to see in-game change the tactics and the players understanding them. Right now, he's more or less sticking to more or less the tactic that he has for that particular game. There's not lots of micro changes that he normally does, but that will come. I'm sure of it. But you can already see, in the game against Arsenal pre-season, PSG game pre-season, we look defensively. We look, apart from that last few minutes, those last few minutes, I feel like I'm watching a different team. And I said this, and I'm not going to change my mind, that basically Kuti, Romero, Mickey van der Ven are the best since Joby and Jan. No 2 ways about it.
They've been awesome this season, those 2. Absolutely. In most of the game, 90% of listen, Romero's made the odd mistake.
I mean, Burnley and Bournemouth, they weren't. I think the other games they were.
One deflected goal. One deflected goal.
I'm not saying that. I'm just not. I thought that Romero was very poor against.
It's a good
partnership.
They complement each other well on the ball. One of them is the best passer in the Premier League. The other, Van der Ven, look, it's early days for him, and we haven't seen huge amounts of it. But when we have seen it, it's been insane. That his ability to carry the ball out and break the line is phenomenal. Like Juan Foyth, which we're playing tomorrow, is fantastic at doing the same sort of thing. Different style of player, but he's also very. I mean, Van der Ven is amazing at picking the ball up and just driving into space, and that in and of itself is such a unique, rare value. One of them sort of more feisty, the other one's more pacey based and athletic. It's a nice little Jekyll and Hyde kind of combo. If they can stay fit, they've clearly got a great relationship. They clearly are good friends. They like each other and they understand each other. One goes long, one goes short, sort of thing. And it's a nice little Jekyll and Hyde partnership, I think. But they need to stay fit. It's a World Cup year. I'm sure both of those players. And this is the interesting thing about this season, by the way. As the season progresses, you're going to see scenarios where there's going to be in March, April, May, you're going to see teams that are going to have a little bit more aggression about them because they know other teams have players in them that aren't going to go into 50-50 tackles and those sorts of things. So they don't want to get injured in the World Cup year in the weeks leading up to the end of the season. So it'd be interesting to see if we can keep those 2 fit, motivated and focused on Tottenham, then good things can really happen. And listening to Christian Romero's commentary this afternoon, he was asked about Messi, whether Messi's going to play for the Argentinian in the World Cup team. And it was great to see Romero say, look, not interested in that right now. I'm purely focused on the next game for Tottenham Hotspur. Nice to see him being complimentary about the club. Nice to see him taking that leadership role and sort of speaking maturely. I think you're seeing the growth of a personality as well as the growth of a leader. It's really impressive.
And the captaincy is a major plus for him, isn't it? That's mentally that's changed him. For me, he's giving an extra percentage because he's captain. And he's got to.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he was already told last year that he was going to be the captain as soon as Messi retired. So it was, as I've said to Sean, and I think I said to you, Ian, he's all ready to sign up and come on, but he didn't feel the club was showing ambition. And obviously in the summer, someone at the club in the hierarchy, I don't know who, but has spoken to him and spoken about that ambition, and signing Muani, Simmons, Paulinho, right, it has obviously shown him that they actually mean business, which helps him sign on the dotted line. Listen, for me, I wouldn't swap him for anybody personally. I think the two of them together work in tandem. What one loses, the other one makes up for. Mickey van der Ven is improving all the time. I think they complement each other fantastically. I would just like to see Jed Spence, if Porro's going to be rested now and again, because surely he can't play 65 games or whatever he's going to have to play this season. But you can't play left back, and just be thrown into right back after sort of 18 months in that position. I think you need 4 or 5 games. And I can't see Jed Spence, unless Porro hopefully doesn't get injured, that he's going to be playing in that position for more than the odd game.
Yeah. Can I just mention, just talking about the new boys, just want to make one mention, how important Kudus was to West Ham, because Paqueta, Paquetá and Bowen, for me, looked lost without him. He obviously had such an influence there.
I think Paqueta was the reason why Paqueta had such a shit game was he was asked to play in the false 9, and he's never really played in the false 9, asking to do things. I got no idea what Graham Potter was doing, dropping Callum Wilson. Paul Krug was out injured. You got Callum Wilson back. All right, he's 34. Maybe you got to manage his minutes, but in their own like FA Cup final or their own cup final against Tottenham, not only could they not fill out the stadium, they couldn't even get their manager to think about the tacticals. Like if you have Paqueta playing in the 10, it's potentially a different game. And having Callum Wilson, who's a bit of a lump. But yeah, I think Paqueta's tough to judge him on Saturday, mate, because he was being asked to play in a position he's not asked to play normally.
They looked the poor side, didn't they, West Ham Saturday?
They do, but with Kudus for me, and I think this is what Thomas Frank's got to get out of him. I see a bit of Waymo in some of the things that Kudus does, and he'll get rid of it. He hangs on to the ball for too long, and he tries to do too much. Sometimes you've got to release the ball. I know that sounds like I'm being critical. I think he's got a lot more to offer us as time goes on when him and Cochrane get hold of him. But sometimes I feel like, release the ball. Don't try and do too much. Do the simple pass sometimes. But listen, I'm very happy with him. He can't not be. But you can definitely see areas of improvement for me.
Yeah. Look, let's move on to the next segment. Before we do, guys and girls, there's just under 1,200 of you in here and exactly 300 likes, which is 1 in 4. Can we please get that going that way very, very quickly? I get it. There's no bombers. The transfer window's shut. But when Spurs win, I don't know why we're not more likes and more gusto. If Spurs had lost, I guarantee you we'd have 2,000 in here right now and the likes would be hitting more. So smash that like button, please, people. And please keep it clean in the chat, guys. Listen, if we're going to have a debate, none of us will rude to each other. You don't have to be rude about me or about Sean or about Johnny or whoever in the chat. You can just say you disagree. It doesn't always have to be nasty or you will just be timed out. All right. Let's not be that. Let's try and be a little bit more mature than that. On the super chats, big up to Dean Law. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you starting the super sticker train. Really do appreciate you, Dean. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you with the old choo-choo. Big up to Emma over there on T-side. So an evening, gang. Hope all are well. We are good, Emma. I hope you are as well. Thank you very much. Cat Funt said, big up, you lovely lot. I bet Stell's tan is Greek. It's because he's saying my tan is Turkish. That's what he's trying to get at there, Stel, because I was in Turkey. Have you got a tan, Stel? And if you have, is it Greek?
I don't have a tan. I will do next week, though. So.
In Greece?
Greece and then Cyprus, yeah.
There you go. Proper Greek tans. There you go. Big up to you and big up to Stel's future tan. There we go. We'll look forward to his future tan. Big up to you, Cat Fun. Martin Knightsbridge out there in Spain. Big up to you, saying, I now know what Stel looks like, not dial-up Stel.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Stel with proper internet. Mad, isn't it? Big up to you, Martin. Really appreciate that. Big up to Rick Kane. Really appreciate you. I believe this is Russell Coit. Big up to you for the super sticker. Really appreciate you out there in Australia. Thank you very much, Rick. Chad DeBolt, thank you very much with another super sticker. Really appreciate you as well there, Chad. And as always, Blaine, super generous. Saying Sava, Sean, Stel, Lubo and Johnny, swiftly spin, sizzling Spurs stories, stirring, shouting supporters, sparking spectacular Spurs celebrations. Enjoy saying that quickly. I hate you for that, Blaine. Thank you for the money. But it only dawned on me halfway through the sentence what was happening there. Big up to you, Blaine. Thank you very much for your generosity. Really appreciate that. And guys, still 378 likes. We should be on 600. Smash that button. Guys, this is a subject, I think, Sean, you wanted to bring this up. The midfield battle. Do you want to kick us off, Sean, and say what it is that you wanted to discuss?
Well, yeah, I sort of touched on it just at the end there, the last segment. I just think that depth is great. Depth is sensational. The depth of, or the bench that we put out on against West Ham was the strongest I've seen for years. Not necessarily, but the consequences of having that are that you probably are going to have some sort of wonderful headache for Thomas Frank to have to. The conundrum that he's going to have to solve is keeping a lot of good midfielders happy, two of whom are emerging young talents that are really stepping up this year and sort of blowing through glass ceilings that we maybe didn't expect them to get through quite as quickly. I mean, Bergvall, I think we all saw glimpses of last year. Pape Sarr has had fits and starts in his time at Tottenham, not necessarily always preferred by Ange Postecoglou, but certainly preferred the start of this season by Ange Postecoglou. By Tommy the Tank. And the outcome is that you've got a situation where you've got Rodrigo Bentancur, who isn't playing as many minutes at the moment. You have Bergvall that's difficult to drop after getting a goal and an assist and putting in a worldie against West Ham. Pape Sarr, who hasn't dropped the ball once this season, and last season he was a lot of the epicenter of my criticism because we got transitioned on more often than not because of his reckless distribution. Brilliant at receiving the ball, brilliant at his first touch, brilliant at reading the game, brilliant at anticipation, brilliant at interceptions. His footballing IQ doesn't get the credit that people think he's just good at that stuff because he's fast and got long legs. He's not. You have to be able to read the game to be got to do that. And you've got Roddy Bentancur, you've got Basuma that's on a timeout, but let's not forget that when push came to shove last season, when we didn't have Polinia, Bentancur was put into the six, of which, in my opinion, you may or may not agree, but Bentancur wasn't a good defensive six. He was terrible in the rest defence, good with the ball, but he's got the sort of DNA of an 8, wants to get forward and forgets to kind of man mark or get close touch tight to players when we have the ball at the top end of the pitch in case you get transitioned on. And then obviously, Basuma, when he came back in, that freed up Bentancur to have some of his better games in the kind of more advanced of the double pivot. I'm just sitting there thinking, at the moment, if Polinia stays fit and he's the guy that we're going to use for most of the time in the 6, and if Xavi Simons eventually is going to get pushed into the 8, you've got, I think it's 5 players there, correct me if I'm wrong, but Archie Gray, Bentancur, Basuma, Bergvall and Sarr. I might be missing someone else.
Polinia.
No, Polinia in the 6, but in that kind of in that second midfield spot, that kind of floating 8, whatever, you've got 5 players that are all looking for moments. 2 of them couldn't even get on the start in the entire squad on Saturday, and you've got players returning that you might end up pushing back into that position later on, like a Decky or something in the future. It's a wonderful headache to have such depth in that position, but I didn't think they'd all rise up. I'm not saying that we can't even improve, by the way. You could still make the argument that we should have got a Morgan Gibbs-White or someone like him, someone that can play in that 8 that's more tenacious than all of them. But in the intermittent period, you've got 5 players that are all going to be all wanting minutes. What is the pecking order currently in our midfield? You can include the 10 and you can include the 6 if you like, but what is the pecking order and how do you keep all those players happy?
Rotation. I mean, look, I'm just going to say, I know we're going to get shouted at all in the chat, but tell me somebody who looked good last season with Ange Postecoglou's system. Exposed everyone. Exposed Porro. Exposed the midfield. Exposed everyone. Everyone looks shocking. Defenders look shocking. Midfielders look shocking. I mean, is it any wonder that now we have proper structure, that Bergvall is showing the pro? Look, I always thought he was a top player anyway, but you know, players who had the talent are showing even more talent. Is it just a shock that suddenly out of nowhere that, you know, Papa Sarr and Bergvall are showing proper techers now out of nowhere? No, it's been there. It's having the right manager to put in the structure in place to allow them to shine. Yes, we've got better players in Paulinho, but you know, look how happy Cuti Romero is and Mickey van der Ven. You know, how they dovetail with each other, how they read the game better, how the defensive, the lines are set up. You know, how we press from the front, press hard, but when we lose the ball, we come back, we drop back into more structured defensive setup. The whole thing's completely different. And that's, I feel, why, you know, we're seeing much better performances in that midfield. So go back to Sean's point. I think, you know, the fact that we've got so many games coming on, we need everyone pulling their weight. We need competition. We need that problem of who do we play in the next game. You know, after playing Villarreal or whoever we're playing PSG, and then the next day we're playing Liverpool. We can't afford that drop-off. So we need everyone. We need every piece that's been taken out. The piece that comes in to replace them is as good. Because what we had last season and the season before and the season before that was a huge, massive drop-off. And, you know, as I said, just to finish, as Stella was saying before, I believe if we can keep this up and keep, you know, the main crux of the team in place, the likes of Tell and Odeberg, if Cochrane and Frank behind the scenes can work on them, I'd like to start to see improvement in their play, you know, come November, December, that we're looking at them saying, look, we can see progression. All we ask for as football fans when a new manager comes in is progression. And all we had under the last one is regression. So, you know, I'm happy where we're sitting at the moment.
Listen, where we're sitting now is very good. But remember, at the moment, we've only got 23 fit players in our squad. That's it. And we've got a lot of games coming up. And we're talking from strength. We've had a really good start. Thank God there's no injuries. Every club gets injuries. And that's where the squad's going to be required. You know, you're right. We've got an abundance of players in that 8. You know, we're short on the left. We haven't got proper cover for Mickey. It is a bit of an unbalanced squad, but there's enough quality in there. And the key thing is about keeping players fit. He will rotate. He's got to rotate. He's got to rotate to keep certain players sharp and fit. Paulinho's not going to play 60 games this season. So maybe he'll alternate between Paulinho and Bentancur for certain games. Ultimately, I think most players will get a fair run out this season. So I understand where Sean's coming from, because we're looking at it now from a good place with no injuries and players coming through. You know, Sarr and Bergvall. You know, Bergvall, you saw flashes last season. Sarr, we have seen flashes, but you know, he was rated so highly when he joined 3-4 years ago. And he's now starting to blossom. And we all said, didn't we, at the end of last season, we all said with a proper coach, you know, how good can these players be, and how unfair it was to actually judge a player based on that kamikaze under-11 coaching system that we've been playing for the last 2 years. And by the way, they're 15th.
Under-11 coaching system, like that.
That's right. They are 15th in the table. He hasn't got that far to go to take
Lubo, I'm not convinced the way you are. Sorry. I think our midfield looks good when we're playing against teams that aren't spectacularly good. We played 2 teams this season that were good. One was Man City, and we did well. But I've always got a weird feeling because we always seem to do well against them, regardless of who the manager is. That's been the case for 10 years. Bournemouth is the one team that came at us with tactics, and some decent players, and our midfield looks shot to pieces.
Yeah, it did.
I need to see us play more good teams before I can start telling
PSG.
Villarreal have got Tommy Partey tomorrow, haven't they? So that'll be interesting, Ron. If Thomas Partey shows up and has a decent game, how we fare against that? Because they've got a really good 10 as well.
Because even against Bournemouth, Romero, Van de Ven, Paulinho, our keeper got torn to shreds.
Hey, last season, still we got 1 point against Bournemouth. We lost against Ipswich at home. We lost against Leicester at home.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, but I listen. I can't disagree. But when Thomas Frank comes out, there wasn't any excuses. He came out and said he got it totally wrong, and it's on him.
I'm just talking about the Bergvalls and the Pape Sarrs and these players.
So let me ask you a question then.
I want to see us play a good 20 games.
Didn't he? Go on.
Do you think that there is, like, because I'm sitting there looking at that 5 ball. Like, I love Paulinho. I've been so delighted he's here. I think he makes us so much more secure. Looking forward to seeing what Chip Simmons can do. In the 10, I've never been that bothered about Bentancur. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. Bergvall and Sarr, got to see what they're capable of. It looks really healthy. Basuma is probably going to go anyway. Obviously, Archie Gray, one for the future, we'll figure out later on. The reason I raised this sort of question, not only around the headache for Thomas Frank, but just because we've got a levelling up now where you look at the starting 11 midfielders and you look at the players on the bench and you're going, that's not a terrible drop-off. That's really good. Are they good enough that we shouldn't have to try to improve? Like, to me, I look at them and go, they're all about the same. They're all good players. And maybe some of them are going to become great players when they're 22, 23, whatever. But I'm still looking at it going, you go and get me, does Bergvall or Sarr or Bentancur get into any of the top 4 teams? And the answer to me is no. Right? Not yet.
Sean, what I would do, Johnny mentioned rotation. What I would do, and I thought about this the first game of the season when he picked a really young midfield for that starting game against Burnley. And I remember looking at the starting 11 going, oh, he's gone with Sarr and Bergvall, really? And Archie Gray. He went with Gray as well. I thought, this is risky. It wasn't a risk at all. So maybe against the bottom 10, play your Grays, your Bergvalls, your Sarrs and whatnot. And then against the top 10, your Xavi Simon, your Bentancur, your Paulinho. And if against a bottom 10 team, it's not quite working, you've got one hell of a bench to bring on. And at the end of the season, analyze it and say, right, these ones, they can hack it. They've progressed.
So you're happy with the midfield for the season?
I personally always want better. Right? But given what we've got, and it can't be changed right now, if he can play the younger players against the lesser teams and it works, and so far it has. It worked against West Ham and it worked against Burnley. And against the good teams, you put your strong players in.
But who's number one?
At the end of the season, analyze it. At the end of the season, analyze it and see where you're at with it.
So who's your first choice 8 right now? Against Arsenal away tomorrow, for example, Paulinho, Simmons. Who's in the
Paulinho, Bentancur, Xavi Simons.
Bentancur is still top of the pops for you.
Yeah.
Can I offer a theory to see if any of you guys agree? For me, I think it's interesting. When I look at our midfielders, I think we've got a lot of 8s. And obviously, Paulinho, for me, by the way, when we talked earlier about how good Van de Ven and Romero have been this season, I do think that we've got to put some mention into Paulinho sitting in front of them. Gives them one hell of a protection. And we said, Sean, didn't we, that the 2 people in the club when we bought Paulinho that must have gone, yes, must have been Van de Ven and Romero more than anyone, right? But assuming Paulinho is your number 6, I think we've got a lot of 8s that I don't really split them. I think they're all good. I don't think any of them are amazing. Obviously, Bergvall's going that way in his career. I think Bentancur has gone that way a little bit because of the injuries. Sarr, very different profile to the others. Gray, I don't think is anywhere near the others. And then obviously Basuma is Basuma. I would say this, and people don't all shout at me at once. I still think that midfield, if you want to really mix it with the big boys, I think we're a really good ball-playing number 8 away from that. I'm talking about when I look at Arsenal with Zubimendi and Rice, players like that who can get on the ball and really good. Give me the ball, I'll start play. When I look at and Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea, very powerful, good on the ball, got a bit of everything to their game, and the other Liverpool and City, whatever. I just think we're one away. And I think at the end of the season, you might see Bentancur move on. And I think we need to get that player because Bergvall, for me, got a lot of ability. I see him as more of a driving with the ball. I don't see him as let me put my foot on the ball in the middle of the park and everything goes through me and I'm going to dictate. I see him as a bit more of a live wire who's going to drive. Same with Sarr, box to box. Paulinho's going to break up play. So I think we need just that. And not now. I'm not saying we can't cope this season, but I do think next summer, I think that will be the type of player we go for. Somebody, like, not saying this level, guys. No, not a Conor Gallagher. No, Conor Gallagher for me is in the Sarr and Bergvall mold. I'm talking about the Carrick, on Modric. I'm talking about someone that puts their foot on the ball and everything goes through them. So Paulinho wins it, gives it to this guy, and this guy's the guy that says, right, let me pull the strings. I think if you get that guy...
Adam Wharton?
Yeah, and Adam Wharton would be a perfect example of a guy that can do that.
Adam Wharton, we should have got. I was going on about him before Palace signed him. It's like, that ship has sailed now. We're out of that one, right? So, that one's gone. Listen, I think Bentancur gets a bit of a rough call, to be honest with you, because Thomas Frank highly rates him. For me, before he got his injury, he was definitely in the top 3 players at our club. But the injury obviously hindered him, but he's still got a lot of quality. And, I, for one, probably against the grain of a few, would like to see him sign a new contract. But for me, Bergvall, he picks up that ball and he drives with the ball. I don't know where he's going to go from here. I mean, he could be box to box. His physicality, upper body strength, he's brilliant in the air. We mentioned it at the top of the show. That header was just absolutely superb. Even in the middle of the park, how many times he wins the ball, the tackles.
Yeah. I think he could be a little bit like Paul Scholes in the future, like playing in an 8, but just really getting forward. Like
more Scholes or more
getting that tenacity, still having that ability to scrappy, to break play up. But he needs to work a little bit on his incisive passing.
Are we getting a little bit carried away here, guys?
No. Yeah, still, this is why I say he looks good.
Paul Scholes and Lampard.
I think, everyone does this with players.
I said he could be. I didn't say he was.
I didn't say he was Paul Scholes or he was anything like it. I said in that kind of role, that kind of player. The player that sort of gets the ball, he just needs to work on some incisive passing. I'm not in any way comparing the two. He's miles away from that. I'm just talking about the style of player that we're looking for.
Yeah, but by the way,
this could be his breakthrough season, couldn't it?
Hopefully.
Sure.
He broke through before. Listen, I'll tell you something. I was banging on about him, and then unfortunately, we went out and played Galatasaray, and I got absolutely pelters because he had an absolute mare of a game, and I didn't hear the end of it. But I stuck by him because there's just something about him that's special. I don't. Do you know
what he is, Johnny? Do you know what he is? For me, of all the kids that everyone raves about, Bergvall is the best. Right?
Head and shoulders
above the rest. Absolutely. But all I'm saying about, I don't know if you guys could agree with me. I just think there's certain like every midfielder's got something different, right? I just don't think we've got that one player that just dictates. And I think that's really, really important. I think we've got the box to box is sorted. I think we've got guys that ghost into the box. I think we've got Paulinho now. I just think we need that one guy, a Declan Rice. And those guys, by the way, cost 100 million. But I think we need a Declan Rice and Enzo Fernandez, those guys that get on the ball, spray it about, everything goes through them. They rarely miss a game. Adam Wharton is definitely somebody in that ilk. I think if we can get that player next summer, I think
only 100 mil each. Only 100 mil each.
Well, that takes you to the next level. So I'm not saying it's fundamental now, but right now, I think we've got a lot of different players that are going to do well in different setups. In games where I think we're going to have a lot of the ball, I don't think you need Bergvall and Sarr in the team. I think in a game where you're not going to have a lot of the ball, I think their energy and their box-to-box is brilliant. But listen, if they both continue to learn and grow, like Stel said, this is where I am with Stel. I won't say they've come on leaps and bounds because it's only been 4 to 5 games. If they can keep this level of performance up over a season and in the big Champions League games, then this is a wonderful, wonderful problem to have. But I do think that the other side, you've got Basuma that's got to go. I think Bentancur, because of the injuries, I wouldn't give him another contract. And I just don't think Archie Gray's anywhere near these other players. So that is a problem in and amongst of itself.
About Archie Gray, do you think that him not go, I mean, bearing in mind that Thomas Frank tried to sign him for Brentford, do you think that not getting even on the bench, as Sean mentioned before, for the game against West Ham, he's sitting there and between Cochrane and Thomas Frank, just like Matthias Tell and just like Odeberg, he's got players to look up to, and in Paulinho, and looking how Paulinho plays the game, that he can be brought on over the next few months, that he realises he's got to raise his game to have a chance of getting into the team. Surely, over a period of time, that can only benefit. But I agree, he's not right just now.
Johnny, but it goes the other way, Johnny, as well, doesn't it? You've got two sides of the coin with a player like Gray. Yes, you're going to benefit from seeing Paulinho in training every day, yada, yada, yada. But if you are not getting minutes, that's of no benefit at all. And the problem I see with Gray, I can't see, and we talked about this last night, Lubo. I'm not having a go at Gray, but Sean said, like Sean said, with Bergvall, with Sarr, with Bentancur, with Paulinho, Archie Gray is now so far down the pecking order that when does he get, not 90 minutes, I think he will against Doncaster, but when does he get a run? And if he doesn't get a run, Johnny, it doesn't matter how much he's learning from Paulinho, he's never actually able to implement that into his game. So I think come January, you might see him go out on loan. I don't know how many games he can get.
I don't believe so. I listen.
How does he play then, Johnny?
I hear exactly what you're saying, and I don't disagree that he's not 100% ready for Champions League football. I think he was thrown in all over the place last season, but I just know what Thomas Frank and Cochrane do to players. I just see how players that I saw go into that Brentford team thinking, well, they're not very good, and how they evolve over a period of time. And I just think if he can do that with substandard players that come in for very little, what he's done with Tony, what he's done with Mbuemo and Visser, and Damsgaard and that.
But those guys played, Johnny. I'm asking you, in what scenario is it going to take for Archie Gray to get 3, 4, 5 games in a row in a Tottenham
Carabao Cup against Doncaster, for example?
But the problem with those Doncaster games is you could put in a worldie of all worldies against a League Two team. It doesn't mean you're going to start the next week, because what can you really learn from it?
But what it does is it gives you game time in case you get. I mean, God forbid.
Not a run.
But if Paulinho gets injured, we need to. He needs to be.
Yeah, we're back to square one again for sure.
We are 100%.
Sure. And if he doesn't, here's the thing, Johnny. If he doesn't, listen, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. So Archie Gray, if Paulinho doesn't get injured, how does he ever get 5 games in a row in a Spurs shirt? Bergvall, I can see getting 5 in a row. Sarr, I can see having 5 in a row. I can't see a world without a big injury to Paulinho that Gray can get 5 games in a row to really establish himself. That's my worry for him.
You think Bergvall plays
down the left wing? Same problem.
Yeah. Do you think Bergvall plays on tomorrow night?
Bergvall?
No, I think Bentancur goes back in.
I think it's the Champions League opener.
Correct.
I was looking at this on my channel earlier. You need 12 points to be in the first from the 9th to the 24th spot based on last year. I think it was that you needed 18 points or 16 points gets you in the top 8 based on what happened last season. So if you win that first home game, you've got a really good chance. If you lose your first home game of the tournament against a team that probably one of the, I don't know, I'm not sure where they would sit amongst our eight levels of difficulty, but you have to win tomorrow night. And so I think we get, especially looking, you've got Thomas Partey and the geezer that plays alongside Thomas Partey. I forget his name. He's like 35 years old. He's probably not going to have a huge amount of legs in him, but he is a bit of a mauler as well. So Thomas Partey and that other guy with the 10 in front is very creative, and they've got lightning quick players on the left and right in Pepe and Buchanan. You're going to need some real muscle in that midfield. So I think you've got to go Bentancur and Polinia tomorrow, personally, just to be able to.
Papagay's been playing in centre mid alongside Thomas Partey. He's a bit of he's a physical specimen.
Somebody else. Who is it? Who's the guy I'm thinking of? I'll get the team.
We got a terrible record at home in Europe against Spanish teams. We've only got one win out of our loss.
Villarreal. I think Villarreal have had something like 15 games against English teams in the Champions League and never won any of them. They've lost 8 and drawn 5.
We've got shitty records. We've got 1 win in 7, and they've got other. But we got a brilliant home record. We haven't been beaten in 20 European home games, so at home. So.
Are you thinking of Pereiro, the playmaker who's getting on a bit? Yeah.
Is it Ayus Perez? What about was it Ayus Perez? Is that is it?
It's literally. Have you seen, Johnny? You've got the London connection to this game. You've got one boy who used to play for us. Renato Vega was at Chelsea last year. You got Partey who was at Arsenal. You've got Solomon who was at Spurs. You've got
Pepe.
There's one more as well. But I can't remember who it is. Pepe, who was at Arsenal. Ayoze Perez was at Newcastle. So they're known to us. Can I just say, before we move on, guys and girls, we are going to give away a shirt from okjersey.com. So a replica football shirt of your choice. If you're a Spurs fan, it can be a Spurs shirt. There's many options. If not, you can choose from many clubs around the world. So all you have to do to be eligible for this is so simple, but please, you have to spell it how I'm spelling it. All you have to do is put into the chat, #OKJersey, #OKJersey. I'll even show you what it looks like. OKAYJERSEY. If you put that in, what it will do is it will put you into the StreamYard giveaway tool. What that means is at the end, we can do a draw and you will all see that I press a button and it picks one of you at random. So you can see we're not cheating. And then we will get the shirt sent to you. So yeah, if everyone does that, no, Jersey, not Jersery. Okay, Jersey, like that. There we go. Okay, Jersey. If you spell it wrong, it will not put you in. So between now and the next half an hour, we'll draw it when there's about 5 minutes to go. #OK Jersey for your chance to win a replica shirt of your choice. We can't be fairer than that, can we, guys? I think that's very generous.
And if you haven't subscribed, you won't be allowed in the draw.
Correct.
They have to type a comment. They have to subscribe to type a comment. So they must subscribe. Please smash the like button. Guys and girls, 466 likes, 1,200 of you in here. Come on, guys. We'll give away free stuff. All we ask is that you smash a like button. I think that's a fair trade. So big up to you lot on the super chat front. Big up to Andrew Burnett with a massive super sticker. Very generous. Really appreciate you, my man. We're all very appreciative of that. Thank you very much. As always, Blaine has come in with 10 memberships, 10 gifted memberships. That is huge. Thank you, Blaine. Too far back for me to see who got them. If you did, I'm sure you said thank you to Blaine. If not, please just do the polite thing. Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate and love you, Blaine. Thank you. Big up to Snook66, who was just putting a super stick up. Big up to you, Snook. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Andy Lester putting in a super chat, Sam. Big up, guys. Great show. Keep the monopoly going. Oh, don't get me started on this. If I see one more lie around the internet as to how YouTube works, I'm going to go mad. The algorithm. Andy, thank you very much, buddy. If anyone wants a free lesson on how YouTube works in the algorithm, just chuck me an email. I'll be happy to tell you how it works. Don't have to listen to people who don't know. Big up to you. Big up to Cat Funt, who has said Mawani is class. Well, we're going to find out, aren't we, at some point when he's fit to play. But yes, for me, he is our best striker. Big up to you, Cat Funt. A user has come in and said, wonder if Levy will make an appearance at tomorrow's game. I'm not sure Levy will be at tomorrow's game. But
My ex-chairman.
We did see Vivian Lewis at the weekend. She looked a very happy chappy, didn't she?
Hey, Sava, can I just say, I'm still convinced that Vivian Lewis is just Joe Lewis with a wig.
Oh, gosh, I'm not saying anything. Big up to you, user. Thank you very much. And Dietrich has said 2 positives versus West Ham. 3 points and no Gray. No Archie Gray. I know Lubo did have a little moment to himself in the car. Little cry, a little tear. But he wasn't in the squad. He will be tomorrow night because there'll be no Matisse Tell. Big up to you, Dietrich. We appreciate you. And thank you to everyone that is still typing in hashtag OK Jersey. So far, 159 of you have. There's 1,200 of you in the chat. Free shirt. 1,200 of you. Take it away. Guys, I want to talk about, just quickly, just for 10, 15 minutes before we go to the last subject, the Spurs youth. Slightly worrying, I would say. I'll just chuck an open question out. Slightly worrying. A lot of our youth has gone out on loan, not getting a lot of game time. Yang is not getting anywhere near the Portsmouth team, even coming on. Donnelly, Phillips, I think, was it Hall or Abbott or whoever, not getting a lot of game time. Are we worried? Have we given them the wrong loans? Are they not as good as Johnny and Lubo tell us they are? What's going on with our loan, with our young players? How do they get minutes?
For me, honestly and truthfully, what's the point of having the transition person? Lewis has come in from the under-18s to be our transition man, but there's absolutely no point in going anywhere if you're going to go backwards. And if you're not playing at these other clubs, you're better off playing for our under-21s if you're not going to get playing any game time whatsoever. So you have to question the choice of loans, really. I mean, how else could you put it, really? I mean, are we to say that none of them, none of them are no good? I don't believe that. But no. Obviously...
Abbott's getting minutes. Lancashire's scored 3.
Lancashire's scoring goals. Lancashire's scoring goals. I'm just saying, he's scoring goals.
Vuskovic is playing.
Oxford. And, Vuskovic, unfortunately, was on the receiving end of a 5-0 drubbing against Bayern Munich, but that's to be expected. But, I do question some of the other loan moves. And let's be honest, if there's a clawback in January, they've got to be brought back and sent to a lower club or a club that suits them, that they're going to get. That's why liaising with the club or the manager, it's not like these clubs have changed manager and that's why they're not playing.
But Johnny, Mikey Moore, disastrous to go and play under Russell Martin.
Russell Martin.
Hang on, you said it was a good loan in the summer. You said that's a great loan. That's a great loan for Moore. Good league. He'll get lots of game time.
I didn't know Russell Martin was manager at the time. And all the Rangers fans I know can't believe, was it Barry Ferguson who was managing them last year? They couldn't believe that they didn't keep him. This guy's a total clown. He's Ange Mark too.
Listen, let me tell you something. Look, he's dying on that hill, and I can't believe Russell Martin is still in a job. But
I agree with that.
That does not excuse Mikey Moore's performances, which are not good enough. I've seen the games. I see more games than most for the Rangers, and quite honestly, he has to look at himself and see, if you want to become a professional footballer at a high level, his performances in that setup are not good enough. But he's been asked to do different things in that setup than he would normally do. But that's not an excuse. He came off at half time on the weekend, and they got beaten by Hearts. I mean, they're sitting 10th in the league. He's only a matter of time before he's.
Sure, Sav, you met a Stoke fan, didn't you, on holiday? He said Phillips was doing okay, but Donnelly's not getting any game time, is it?
No, he said that Phillips did well last year.
Yeah.
But he said this summer they brought in 2 senior centre halves who are starting in front of him.
Right.
And he said that Donnelly, when he has come on, he said he's decent, but he's no better than anything they've got. And the problem is, if you look at the last 3 odd games, Donnelly is not starting, and then he's not even coming on in front of the attacking midfielder coming on. I'm not knocking the youngsters here. All I'm saying is, if that's the case, is it one that it's a bad loan, or are they not as good as some people think? Like, because if like Lubo, you keep saying to me, Donnelly should have been kept at the club. We didn't have playmakers. Well, if he's at Stoke not getting on at Stoke, isn't the argument?
It does speak volumes, to be honest. It does speak volumes.
That he's not good. If he's not good enough for Stoke, he's not good enough.
It can't be every team. It can't be every team we picked as the player's not right for them. Maybe the player's just not ready, you know. But I don't know what you're supposed to do. Like Mikey Moore was clear, not Mikey Moore. Jamie Donnelly was clearly too good for League One at Leyton Orient.
Yeah.
The next move was the Championship.
Yep.
He hasn't played yet. We're only early in the season. Maybe it's acclimation. Maybe it's learning tactics. Maybe it's settling into a place he's not familiar with. Maybe he's not got, his mates around him. All those sorts of things sort of develop over time, right? You become more ingratiated. He's a young kid. You get ingratiated into your team. Once you scored a goal or whatever, you get the captain and the senior figures in that team, giving you a little sort of roughly your hair or whatever, just make you feel a bit more at home. It's difficult, isn't it, for young kids when they first go on loan? I'm just reading, by the way, some of the tweets from Rangers fans about Mikey Moore. They're brutal.
Yeah,
brutal. Some of them are saying, like, punt him into the B team where he belongs. One guy saying, Mikey Moore saying he was aiming to be the best player in the world in the media was some laugh as well. Aim to dribble past your man first before you start talking like that, bozo. Like, there's... it's pretty... Obviously, Rangers is unforgiving, right? The fan base is unforgiving. The expectations are incredibly high. And they haven't won a game in 5 games yet so far in the Scottish League. So not a nice environment for him to be around.
Wouldn't someone like Mikey Moore be better off going to... I'll use them because they're just down the road from me. Going to a Charlton Athletic in the Championship, playing week in, week out against men and going, look, how good are you? Because I get the point. Listen, I think what the Rangers fans are saying about Mikey Moore is going too far. But at the same time, the Rangers fans...
because they're frustrated with their football club, right?
Sure, but the Rangers fans, they don't care. We care about Mikey Moore's development. Let's be fair. The Rangers fans care about Rangers. They don't.
Yeah,
they
actually,
don't care.
A lot of the tweets that they're saying is, why are we bloody developing one of Tottenham's players when we've got our own players we could be developing? Right. So there's no affinity with Rangers to Mikey Moore to the Rangers fans. I agree with you. Keep these players closer to home. But at the same time, I think that there is an argument when essentially nobody at the Championship level loan system is doing well this year. Nobody. And there's six of them out there. Is that right? Am I right? There's 6 players in the Championship right now?
Is Lancashire or Oxford in the Championship?
Yeah.
The Oxford's in the Championship.
Yeah. I think Lancashire's grabbed a couple of... I see him get a couple of tap-ins.
He's got 3 and 5, I think, Sav.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would it not be for me?
Can I speak on this?
Phil, I just
thought.
Absolutely not, Stel. You shut up with your nice 4K face, mate. You shut up.
Yeah.
Surely Moore and Donnelly would have been better off joining maybe Chris Davis at Birmingham or Ryan Mason at West Brom.
For sure.
Yeah.
But if Donnelly's not getting it, here's my only thing before Stel comes in. This is my only thing, right? I said to you last season. This is going to sound brutal, and sorry if it does, and this might not be true. I'm just offering a theory here. The problem is you can be that good in League One and have the step up to the Championship be a bit too much. The same way you can be, look at Ollie Skip. He was the Championship player of the season. It wasn't good enough for the Premier League. So could it be that Donnelly just isn't as good as the men that are in front of him at Stoke?
Possibly. The interesting thing with Donnelly was he hardly got a game until just before Christmas last season.
Correct.
And then Richie Wellings put him in a 10, and all of a sudden he just blossomed. And Orient went from 21st to finishing in the playoffs positions. And Donnelly had an awful lot to do with that. He had the freedom to play. He was playing. I mean, Charlie Kelman, funny enough, he's at your old club now.
Yeah, he's struggling. Struggling,
He's
by the way.
struggling at Charlton. He's struggling at Charlton. You know, again, QPR didn't want him.
But again, the next level up, right? This is what I'm saying. Some players find their level.
And he went. He's on. I was having a chat with my fellow who's Orient. I was just saying, why didn't Orient go for Kelman? And he said, I think he went for about 8 million. I think from QPR to Charlton. And if it had been 3 or 4 or 5, maybe Orient might have got involved. But he obviously wanted championship football. And, you know, with Donnelly, maybe it'll take Donnelly time to get settled in. Problem is, if you've got a manager and the manager fancies 2 other players in front of you, you're done. You're pretty much...
Do you know who the 2 players in front of him are?
Go on.
One of them is Lewis Baker, who's been around the block, right? Lewis Baker, remember from Chelsea,
wasn't
he? Yeah. And the other one is the guy they bought last year. Is it? I want to say Bay or Bayo. Is it the Japanese lad who the Stoke fans really rate? So, listen. Sorry, Stel, you wanted to jump in. Sorry, mate. Floor's yours.
We are so harsh on our youngsters at Spurs as a fan base. My heart bleeds, man, because I did this for 12 years. Players need a pathway. I've said it so many times. The pathway at Spurs is broken for so many reasons. You cannot bring through youngsters into the first team when you keep signing Tells, Odeberts, and they're in the squad. We spend good money on these Tells and Odeberts, and we put them on a half-decent salary. You're killing the prospects of the academy. Then the kids go out on loan. There's no guarantee they're going to get game time on most of these loans. Of course, Lancashire's doing well. Who's the manager? Ryan Mason. He knows Lancashire. He's coached Lancashire. He's got an interest in Lancashire.
No, Lancashire's not playing for Ryan Mason.
Ryan Mason's at West Brom, no?
Yeah, but Lancashire's not. Mason is
Lancashire's at Oxford. He's at Oxford.
He was at West Brom last season still.
Sorry, last season, yeah.
He's doing better this season at a lower club because, as Stel's saying, you know, he's playing at a lower club.
Let me finish the point, Johnny. 1 second. Let me finish the point, right? So for me, he should have stayed at West Brom when he was with Ryan Mason, okay? Because he's with a coach that's going to give him the minutes and who knows him. It is such a punt when you put a player out on loan because what fans need to remember is they're kids. You're a kid in football until you're 21. You're not classed as an adult until you turn 21. 20, 19, 18, you're a kid, a minor. You're not allowed in the same changing room as the men, I think, until you're 18. So these are things we've got to... Yeah. Is that right? You know that kid, that sensation at Arsenal,
Max Dowman.
Right, Max Dowman isn't allowed. He has to go in a separate changing room on match day.
Yeah,
he's not allowed.
Makes sense, actually. It makes sense when you say it out loud. I never even thought of it. That makes sense.
Yeah. So these factors, they're kids, man. They're kids, and we speak about them like they're adults. But this is because the expectation is so high, and we are so demanding. We don't give the youngster the opportunity to flourish. Okay, Mikey Moore's off to a bad start.
Matisse Tell.
Listen, I'm talking about our academy, right? We'll come on to Matisse Tell. Matisse Tell has had plenty of game time at Spurs. None of our academy players have had that game time, though, Sean. I'd rather see the academy kids get that game time for us to judge. They need to go out on loan, and they need to play regular for a good couple of years. Okay, it has to happen for a couple of years because when you coach adults, it's about the win. When you're coaching kids, it's about development, which means you're going to take losses, you're going to have bad performances, but you've got to develop through that. That's what makes you. We don't do that at Spurs. We trust other clubs to do it for us, and there's no contractual obligation that they have to do that. So I would rather, and because someone asked a question earlier, what do we do? This is what we do. If we're serious about our academy, this is what you do. And I've spoken to the academy about this, and even they agree, but they don't have a say in it. You have a rule at the club, like quite a few Spanish clubs do. A minimum number of players in the squad must be from your academy. They must be. whether it's 2, 3, 4, they must be in that team. End of. That's how you develop a philosophy. That's how you nurture the youth. And now you're forcing the issue. Coaches have to do their fucking job. And we have to give it time. And it becomes the norm. And then you will see some begin to become the talent that we saw from Ledley King and Harry Kane. Don't forget, Harry Kane went on multiple loans. He didn't really break through until he was about 21 at Spurs.
Correct. That's right.
So we need to have that patience with the current crop. At the same time, the club must force the issue by saying, if we're going to name a 22-man squad, 4 must be academy players or 2 or 3 and stick to it. This is what they do in Spain. In Spain, they force the issue. That's why they develop so many wonderful young players. We don't do that. We don't have that rule at Spurs.
I agree with you on something. I really, really, really agree with you on the first part, right? I really agree with you on the first part of that's why I didn't want Tell. I didn't want Gray. I didn't want Valise. I didn't want Yang. These were all pointless signings by the football club. So when people are celebrating, oh my God, this kid, I don't get it. It's money down the drain where you could be producing your own. However, the other side of things, I do feel that it's difficult, right? Because someone like, if you use Donnelly and Phillips as the example, I know Phillips was bought, but Donnelly and Phillips are now what? 2021, the two of them?
I think Phillips is 20, Donnelly's 2021, yeah.
Right. My worry for them still is, and I agree with everything you've just said, I really don't disagree with any of that. My worry is if they are going to a Stoke, and look, it's early doors, and of course, look, Stoke are flying, right? Stoke are second. They've got a top manager there in terms of Mark Robbins. They bought a lot of players this summer, and they've got some money at Stoke, and they're doing well. But the worry surely has to be if you've got a player like Donnelly, who everyone raves about this end, but can't get into the Stoke team. I'm not saying it's going to be that all season. I'm just talking about now. If he can't get into a Stoke team, it's really difficult to then make the argument that he should be brought back and being in the Spurs squad, isn't it? Like, if you're not going to Stoke,
so Sadler, this is why I said 21. At 21, that's got to be the cutoff where you say, right, has this kid become ready for the men's game at this level? And someone in the club has to say yay or nay. If the answer is yes, they've got to come in like we did with Kane. And don't forget, the club wanted to get rid of Kane. It was Sherwood that fought to keep him. We could have easily have lost him to Leicester City. We need someone fighting that cause at the club to change the way we go about it. If Donnelly and these players at 21, it hasn't happened for whatever reason, their fault, our fault, coach's fault, the system, you can't keep them. You can't.
But you know what?
There has to be a cutoff. There has to be.
But Stel, you should know as much as anyone else. And from my experience of listening to guys in football talking about it, the amount of players who leave academies with the thought that they're not going to get a chance to break out Spurs or Arsenal or Chelsea, who go down the leagues to League One and then find their way back to the Premier League or top level football. You know, look at someone like, for example, Adam Smith, who used to be at Spurs Academy, like discarded, went down to come back up. There's a lot of players. Look at Amari Hutchinson, released by Arsenal. Look at Chelsea. You know what I mean? And, not surplus to requirements. It is very difficult. It is very difficult. I read something, I think it was in The Athletic a couple of months ago, just about how difficult it is for every youth academy player to break into their home clubs because
Johnny,
on the manager, pressure on the manager. God, sorry.
Listen, you're right. Most Premier League kids, academy kids, end up in the low leagues or they leave the game completely. A few have the balls to go abroad.
But they come back. Some of them, a lot of them
come back. But this is why I said, if Spurs were serious about the academy, like they genuinely meant business, they would force the issue by making a club rule. If you come to Spurs, 2, 3, 4, whatever number they pick, you are guaranteed to be in the squad every year. That's our philosophy, and we're sticking with it. We haven't got the balls to go there. We don't have the balls to do it.
But listen, it's not, come on, still, we are so far behind Arsenal as far as quality.
Johnny, how do you think the Spanish changed their game? How do you think they did it? That's how they did it.
I understand that. I mean, Spurs,
They forced clubs to develop from within. Spain said, we don't win European trophies, we don't win World Cups, we win nothing. What we're going to do, we're going to make a rule. You must develop your talent. They forced the issue. 10 years later, Spain won everything.
Listen, look, the thing is, look at us, under 15, under 16 England, under 18 England, under 21. We're winning everything, right?
Yeah, but that's England.
That's
England, Johnny.
Yes, but no, let me finish what I was going to say. So what I'm saying is that those players, when we look at the equivalent players in Spain and Germany, even though we're winning these tournaments, those players are actually like Voltamade in under 21s. He's now going to be playing every week for Newcastle. Look at Spain. Look at Spanish under 21s. Those players are playing week in, week out. Yet so many of the players from our under 18s, our under 21s struggle to get game time. And it's the pathways. It's not just Tottenham Hotspur, but we were so far behind with our academy setup that it's going to take time. I think we're light years behind where Arsenal are.
Yeah, but Johnny, so why? Okay, I agree with all of that. So why not do what the Spanish did, where they said, we are going to force it on the clubs. And then the clubs, they went even further, like Barcelona, they went even further. They said, actually, we're not only going to have a percentage who we develop, but a percentage of that must come from Catalonia. So imagine Tottenham saying 10% of the squad must be academy, and 10% of that 10% must be from the borough of Enfield.
Must live 5 minutes from Seven Sisters.
Saga, whatever the rule is, right? We don't do any of that, and then we all say, "Oh, he's not good enough. He's not getting."
What do you do?
There's no pathway, guys.
Do you have Tottenham B in League Two? Do you have Manchester City B in League Two?
Another trick we're missing.
Is that what you
another
do?
trick we're missing. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with you.
Do you know what? On my show this morning, guys, I asked this question, right? And by the way, I don't think this is just a Tottenham Hotspur problem. I do very much think it's a Premier League problem.
Agreed.
If you look in the Premier League, let's see if any of you guys can find an answer, because no one could today. Can any of you name a striker that is the first choice striker for a Premier League club that came through the academy at said Premier League club? Can you name centre halves who have come through the academy at that club and are playing for that club? And can you name a goalkeeper that came through the club and is now the number one at that club? Right? Has anyone got any names they can think of? Because these are the issues that when you look at some of the other leagues, they've got a lot that come through their own academies that do. But in the Premier League, I don't think there's a single first choice striker that's come through an academy. I don't think there's, other than centre half, you could go maybe Braithwaite, but he was signed from Carlisle at a young age, I think, to Everton. They're not coming through.
You know, the problem is still, you look, Harvey Elliott, Liverpool, he's gone. They've just spent 116 million on Verts. Elliott looks at that and just think, well, what chance have I got? Look at the players that are in front of him. McAllister, Sloboslai. He just looks at it and thinks, well, what chance have I got? And this is the problem. It was tough enough for academy kids years ago. Now it's global in terms of recruitment. Is completely global. Kids today have got very little opportunity of coming through it and making it. There's very few.
Lubo, another issue is another issue.
There's not many, is there? My point is, if you notice, there's not many, is there? If you look around the Premier League, there's not many players that are main players for the club. You got Saka at Arsenal, right? You'll have players like Phil Foden, Curtis Jones, who plays but isn't the main man. There's not many, guys. There's not many.
Arsenal do more than anyone.
Another issue, guys. Another issue is, by the way, earlier on I said Enfield, and someone in the comments put Haringey. Yeah, Haringey, Enfield. I agree. I was just trying to make a point of local area. Another issue is money has wrecked it. The obsession of clubs to throw insane money at it, and we are in that trap as well now. It's hurt the patience for the youth. Ajax were renowned for the best academy, always bringing through young teams that would get to semi-finals, win leagues, and Ajax in recent years has gone to shit because the spending of all the other big clubs is so high now. They can't develop a squad of wonderful youngsters that can compete with the superstars of experienced talent brought up by the likes of PSG, Real Madrid, Liverpool's, Bayern Munich's. There's only so far you can take a team just full of kids. So even the Ajax is now a big, they've come unstuck a little bit, and it's because of money. Money does not help the youth game develop the way it once used to.
And then, in fairness, we've had five real stars in 55 years. Proper.
Is that Hoddle?
Hoddle, Perryman, Ledley, Campbell, and Harry. That's it. Five major players.
You know Ledley Campbell.
Ledley Campbell.
You remember Ledley Campbell?
Mind you, we got Jedley playing for us now, haven't we?
Yeah, Jedley King.
But it is an issue, right? Because I remember when I was growing up, lots of players. Listen, I'm not saying to the level of those guys that Lubo just mentioned, but there was a lot of pathway for. Remember the Darren Caskies, the Andy Turtles, the Nick Barnes, the Vinny Sap. Like now the problem is, and this is where I very much agree with Stel. Like this is why I absolutely hated when I turn up and I see Archie Gray 40 million, Tell 35, 40 million. I see, Valise, and you're thinking, sorry, what? Why did they sign Valise when you're telling me one of the Lancashires or at the time, who was it? Sun Bell and Scott. Like that for me is what's really frustrating. We've done it with Kinski as well, by the way.
Yes,
we've done it with Kinski, right? Yeah. It's not. I'm not just blaming Spurs, but I don't want to be
pathway, Sava. There's no pathway.
That's why Keeley left. That's probably why Keeley left.
Well, look at Nawani. Nawani was on the verge of leaving Arsenal because he was promised all the gold he could eat, and then Dowman comes along and he feels like he's under pressure. But they've managed to swing him round. But Arsenal produce more homegrown players and blood them into their team than anyone else, and they've got more in the pipeline. But even they lose players. Even Arsenal lose players because of block pathway. Yeah. And look how many come through there. It's just we are one of the.
But Johnny, you go and look at Barcelona. Like you go and watch any Barcelona game, and in any given Barcelona squad, there's about 9 of them that have come through the Barcelona academy. And
how many are Spanish, Saba? How many are Spanish?
Yeah. They import a lot. They
nearly all of them. And still, they'll chuck them in. They'll chuck them in at the age of 16. Like,
but Saba, why are they Spanish? Why are they Spanish?
Because they implement that. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, the Premier League, guys, the Premier League is not an English league. Yes, it's under the FA. Yes, it's in England. It's not an English league. The Premier League is an international league. Yeah. Only the Championship and below are proper English leagues. They're English leagues. The Premier League is no longer an English league. If you probably look at it. That's why it's the most popular, biggest league in the world, because it's an international league.
68% still, I believe, of the Premier League is foreign, which of all the top leagues across the world, it's the least number of homegrown players from that particular country. That's why I always laugh when people go
Spain, Italy, Germany, France. It's not like that.
Exactly. So I agree with you. I think it's a really good discussion point. Blame Brexit.
Listen, let me tell you something. When I was
about him or blamed him for anything tonight, I blame Levy.
Just so you can understand how silly it's got. 5 years ago, I was in the academy. There was this short, young black kid, about 9 years old. Dynamite, absolute dynamite. And I'm watching him going, fucking hell, he's good. Where have they found this one? I spoke to the coach. Spurs paid £25,000 to sign him from a French team. 25 grand for a 9-year-old. Who knows what he's going to be like at 16, 18? He could become amazing. He could be dog shit. When I heard
That's
that,
about 6 hours of Timo Werner's work, though, isn't it? You know, like when you 25 grand is irrelevant. Just and it's putting mud. I use the analogy: it's putting mud in.
Great footballer though.
Putting gold dirt into pay dirt into a sluice, right? And then you got to put enough in the top, and occasionally a little nugget drops out. But people think that our youth, our academies, is a failure unless 3 or 4 of the players from this generation are going to make it into the first team. That's not the case at all. If one player makes it into the first team, 6 players out of 30 or 40 get sold for £1 million or more. It pays for itself. And you go again, and occasionally you'll get something that just drops out. That's an absolute nugget of gold. But the vast majority of these players are not going to end up playing for Tottenham. You shouldn't expect them to. You should just hope that as many as possible can turn a profit and make a couple of £1 million, 3-4 million quid. Like, think about Cameron Carter's Vickers. Right, that guy. How much do we get for him? 8 million.
6 plus bonuses. Yeah,
6 million quid probably pays for the academy for a year.
Yeah.
Who's that really, really average young centre-back we signed for 10 million? I think he was
Who's good? I'll tell you who is good. Oliver Boast. He's a good player. Can I just say to you guys, if you, I met when I was at Rangers away, a director. I got talking to him. He said he was making a documentary about the Spurs Young Academy. It's on BBC. It's just been dropped. I think it's on CBBC. It is young kids. I think it's sort of 9 and upwards at the Spurs Academy, but it's still probably an insight to what goes on at an academy, and you know what they get up to and how they not groom them. It's the wrong word. How they bring them forward. But it's on BBC. I think it's just dropped either yesterday or sometime this week. So check that out. But it's Spurs Academy documentary.
Guys, I am going to wrap up the show. I do want to get the score predictions and do the shirts very quickly. I need a score prediction for tomorrow. I know it doesn't go in our league. Just really quickly, just the score, because we've got 3 minutes. Stel,
2-0.
Score tomorrow be Villarreal.
2-0.
2-0
I
from
know
Sean.
nothing about this game at all. I'm just going to, I'll copy Sean. 2-0. 2-0 Spurs.
2-0. Johnny?
Submarine, 3-0.
3-0. Lubo?
2-1.
2-1. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go with 3-1 to Tottenham Hotspur. Guys, I'm going to do the draw. Whoever gets this needs to email me and I will sort this out for you. Or Sean, look on our channels to find our email address. I am going to do the draw. You can see here that I'm not cheating. There you go. I'm doing the draw to see if you can win.
Good luck, everyone.
Shirt.
Good luck.
Here we go. You can see I'm not touching anything. I've got no control over this.
We needed like a drum roll.
There you go. So the winner is Kay.
Hey, well done.
Well, I'm scratching.
Well done.
Big up to you. If you know Sean, get in contact with Sean. If not, get in contact with me. Please, if
I think
you're
he's out
in
in
the
Czech
chat now,
Republic or something. I think I'm
please let
pretty
us
sure he's
know.
out in Czech Republic.
Yeah, we can get that out of there. That's not a problem. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. I am going to quickly redirect, really quickly. I've got a minute and a half to do this. Is the championship as good a barometer as we think it is? Why don't we send players to Bundesliga, Eredivisie, Liga, Portugal, push for a top 5 league? Doesn't a lot of this depend on who comes in for the players as well? But also, somebody at the club should be willing to try to make this happen.
Sava, a lot of youngsters don't like going abroad as well.
Yeah.
True.
They get homesick.
True. Oh, God, what's going on? Okay, guys, listen, thank you very much. Really appreciate every single one of you. We will be back on Thursday night Much love. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everyone who joined in. Really enjoyed tonight's show. And we'll be back tomorrow for various different things on various different channels. Much love. Take care. Big up to Levy the legend. Thank you. Please let me go. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.